enjoy the show, play on Walljangers.
Nothing left to do but different show. Let's start it off. Hello, gearheads and nerds out there. 'Tis I, Matthew Bucarell, the Mattman, and we are here for another Mattcast, gang. Saw you guys, and you love the Mattcast. I love doing them, so that's where we're going to start off here. Love the likes and the comments. Definitely hit them below. If you want to talk about anything in Mattcast, maybe you have a comment about something I said, make sure you pop it below and I'll address it on here. I'll pop out your name if you want. If not, I'll just say your comment. You know, if you have a question, maybe it's about some of the sciencey stuff that I say on here, or some of the gaming stuff, some of the anime stuff. It's just Mattman Rants, you know, Mattcast Rants. I am Matthew Bucarell, the Mattman. Starting off here, I did release a little video on the Walljangers Gaming Facebook site. Of course, I have all of them segmented out there for you. Walljangers Gaming, Tales of the Hunted, Lugnuts Podcast, Sex Ed and everything in between. Silly little podcast, Walljangers and Walljangers Media Network. You follow that one. I post everything in that main one. So you can see everything under the Media Network on Facebook. And, of course, YouTube. We have the shorts out there and some TikToks out there. A lot of stuff on social media that we do. One of the things that I did want to do is tell you about the Outer Worlds 2, man. I love that game. Put the video out there. I tried not to kill you with the character creator, and the choices that you can make in the beginning. I made my choices. I saw a video saying, obviously it's, you know, that Fallout-esque kind of game. So there are certain things that are obviously going to be helpful if you know your kind of play style. My play style, I love to hack into stuff. I love to lockpick into stuff. I mean, I don't care if it's somebody's house. What do you got in there? I won't steal anything because, and especially in the Outer Worlds, you'll just have somebody run up to you like, "Hey, you stole!" Just like in like Skyrim and Oblivion. Like, I get it in certain areas, but it's part of the charm of the game. Romeo Marley popping up in the background there. It's one of the charms of the game. I really do like Outer Worlds. I think that it's probably the best that I've seen from Obsidian. It is pure Obsidian at their best, and I'm really impressed with the crafting. I mean, there's the one comment I saw on there before I hopped into it, because obviously there was a lot of, if you pre-ordered it, you got early access to it. I was just getting it on the Game Pass because I knew if you're jacking up this price, I'm going to play the hell out of that game before I make my decisions. It's kind of like that old joke. I'm going to give you 5 more minutes before you're free to knock that off first. So that's kind of where I went with that. But with Outer Worlds, my kind of play style, that's how I like it. I like to go in and hack. I do like the stealthy kills. That's where I started off. Pretty stealthy. I love popping up behind people, dropping up behind them, Assassin's Creed style. Obviously, the dirt, life stained jacket Big Brother gave me a long time ago during it was Assassin's Creed 3 when that came out. They had this limited line of zip up hoodies, and Big Brother got me this for my birthday. It's a white hoodie. You know, I mean, everybody, you don't wear white after Labor Day. Just don't wear white. Okay. How about that? Because life will stain it and nothing will ever get it clean. Like your soul. Nothing will ever get it clean again. Ever again. Just like Romeo. You can roll on the carpet as much as you want, but that bastard is not getting clean. At a little breakup point, let Romeo, do his thing. So Outer Worlds 2 it's just like a love letter to the fan that loved the Outer Worlds, because for what it is essentially taking Fallout New Vegas and putting that in outer space, and just from the first, I've just played the first world. I think even in the 4 or 5 videos I've done so far, I've just been on Paradise Island and in the beginning, getting your character going. I love the story and how they easily set that up for me to care about one character out of all these characters on the crew. I'm like, oh, obviously you want me to care about this guy. And, the story just going along, gloriously. I love it. But I was thinking about just doing a play, my normal playthrough and just editing out the boring parts, and plopping that up for you to watch that one. I will get back to it at traditional Matt plays. I have a couple. I got to redo some voiceover for that. Games I was playing over the summer. Some entertaining ones too, and obviously I got some other games that I'd mentioned last time that I could do an awesome video with all of those. So I'll get a proper map plays out there for you guys as well. But yeah, Outer Worlds 2. That's what I've been playing up to this since the last podcast with you guys. Really, really fun game. If you're an RPG guy, you like shooters with a lot of different choices to do that, that's where you're going to be really have fun with that in Outer Worlds. So out now, Game Pass. If you're still on it, there you go. That's also why I do the game. I did the gameplay because it gives you, if you did opt out of the Game Pass, like it's not in the budget. Hop on over to Perjanger Gaming and you can actually check out Outer Worlds too and my playthrough, and that'll give you a baseline of is it something that you like? That's the one thing I like about gameplay videos. You get an easy judgment of, oh, that looks cool, or no, why would I pay money for that? Real easy way to just take care of that. So that's what I've been playing. Anime, my God. I just got done watching One Punch Man's recent episode. It really, they set up some really nice fights for Gara. And even this week, just that one guy who I think is like King the Ripper. He's like a Jack the Ripper parody. But I saw that they actually, in last week's episode, they drew him as a female accidentally for a small portion of that. And blink and you'll miss it. But I saw some stills and I was like, geez. Too expensive to fix. Leave it in. Nobody's going to notice. But in the age of the Starbucks cup from Game of Thrones, people notice things in the background. There's that infamous guy who was he was in the background in The Mandalorian. He was just a guy in the hallway. They edited him out after, but small stuff like that aside. Really, really like One Punch Man, and it's true to One Punch Man fashion. You get you don't get Saitama until that last crucial pivotal moment that he is needed, because he will just demolish whatever the enemy is in one punch. Like this whole, League of Monsters and everything. I still feel if Saitama put his all into it, he'd probably demolish them all in like one punch, and it would be very anticlimactic and people would call bullshit. So, and that still may happen, but it's the dramatic build is the whole part of the anime that I really like. It's gaining that slice of life for these normal heroes. I mean, Saitama, that's the thing. He is the widget in the story to get you to the next thing. He is the reason how you get through there, like the sonic screwdriver. He is that. He's that writing device. So showing a humanistic side, the dumb version of this, but also expanding the lore and just the backstory of the world. The world building is really good in it too. My Hero, fantastic. Leading up to an epic Shigaraki Deku fight. Shigaraki, but My Hero's doing great too. Some awesome anime that I was watching because it is the season of anime coming back in and all that, especially ones that have a longer reign. Gacha Coda that's still running strong. Love the way that one's going, really expanding out that world as well. So there's a lot of really good anime out there for you to watch. A lot of really good games for you out there to watch. But speaking of gaming, study finds that playing Breath of the Wild can be beneficial to your mental health. Oh, you didn't think I was going to be pulling out The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on this one. But a recent study published in the JMIR Serious Games Journal shows 518 postgraduate students in 4 groups. Group 1 played Breath of the Wild. Group 2 watched Studio Ghibli films. Group 3 did both. And the last group didn't play an open world game or watch Studio Ghibli. After the experiment, students reported on their mastery, skill, and calmness, uh, uh, and how happy they were overall. Those who played Breath of the Wild reported having higher levels of happiness compared to those who did not play the game. The effect was increased for the students who both played Zelda and watched Studio Ghibli. The researchers who conducted the study used the bootstrap meditation effect test to see how playing open world games affected the happiness of others. It showed that the nostalgia of familiar gameplay elements in Breath of the Wild enhanced players' experience. The effect was highest in the group who participated in both activities. This study showed similar conclusions to another study that involved Breath of the Wild 5 years ago. Unlike the other surveys that mentioned that are more observed. Oh, Jesus, I'm having a time with words here today. Unlike other surveys that are more observational based, however, this one demonstrated stronger conclusions. Those that conducted the experiment noted that randomly assigning the students to 4 different groups helped isolate the effects of both playing Breath of the Wild and watching Studio Ghibli films that are nostalgic. While the study only measured short-term effects, the results still suggest that playing certain types of games can positively boost your mood and mental health. And I think that also kind of depends on, where, the people are in gaming and, even anime. I think it more is attached to that activity that you love. Having a person that has that passion, of passion for gaming, a passion for anime, a passion for both gaming and anime. I love both myself. You're going to have more happiness than if you didn't have it. That's, I think that comes down to just anybody, really. If you don't have that happiness in your life, it's not like it's just going to manifest itself out of nowhere. You got to try something. Do something that may make you happy. Maybe you like collecting stamps. Nobody's judging. Collect your stamps in peace. But maybe playing Breath of the Wild, great game, by the way. I mean, the Switch is one of the most popular selling consoles of all time, too. So the fact that nobody's played it, I don't know. I think everybody's really kind of maybe had a swing at some kind of, Zelda recent Switch game. And, Breath of the Wild was a really good one. The second one was not bad as well. So check out some Breath of the Wild if you want to get a little calmness and happiness in your life. I mean, humans have always been, looking for that, or, that fun, in all forms, just like this next story. 42,000-year-old yellow crayon suggests Neanderthals created art. And it's still sharp, too. Found this article on IFL Science, which has a nice little picture I'll probably rip out and I'll plaster it on the image right here because it's no Crayola, but it is impressive nonetheless. The creation of art has historically been thought of as a distinctly Homo sapien behavior, but the recent discovery of a crayon-like piece of ochre that's at least 42,000 years old adds to a growing body of evidence suggesting that our Neanderthal cousins also dabbled in a bit of symbolism. So, once again, another thing proving that Neanderthals weren't just dumb apes, okay? They were around for a really long time, and we don't know exactly why they went away, but we do see their traces in our DNA. So you know how that got there, if you know what I'm saying. Researchers came to the conclusion after investigating 16 pieces of ochre found in sites in Crimea and mainland Ukraine. known to have been occupied by Neanderthals. Using microscope and chemical analysis, they were able to identify that some of the pieces had been deliberately modified with techniques, including grinding, scorning, flaking, and scraping. That's all well and good, but how do you know that these chunks of ochre were modified for purposes of art rather than some practical use? According to the team, there were three pieces in particular that showed features exceeding utilitarian use. The most exciting is a roughly 4.5 centimeter or 1.8 inch long and half-inch thick fragment of yellow ochre that was fully shaped into a crayon-like tool with pointed morphology, with marks suggesting that it was periodically reshapen to maintain its point, and signs of wear from contact with a surface under applied pressure. And then, a couple different images. The one they have here, you see definitely the applied pressure to all these tips and reshape points. If you've ever had to, like a one of those drawing pencils where you have to, like, an old trick my dad and I think a lot of woodworkers and carpenters use is they'll have the pencils and they'll just carve it down with their knife. And that kind of looks like what they're doing here, except with a rock, you're going to keep chipping it away so you have that nice point to your crayon or pencil, if you were, in lack of a better word. But, a nice ochre crayon. That's kind of cool. All of this, the authors conclude, suggests that the piece of ochre appears to have functioned as a marking tool akin to a pencil, used to produce lines on surfaces. Combination of shaping, maintenance, and wear traces underscores its curated nature and sustained utility as an instrument for drawing and or marking. It was a tool that had been curated and reshaped several times, which makes it very special. The study's author told New Science and colleagues proposed that it may have been specifically to mark skin, clothing, bags, or stone. So, they could have their own Neanderthal Led Zeppelin t-shirts at the ready, on their, giant sloth skin shirt with, rock cloud. I guess that would be a good Neanderthal, translation. They'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? A rock cloud? I don't know. I tried. But they had crayons, essentially, red ochre. So, the other two finds that showed the signs of symbolic use included red ochre fragments that researchers believe to have once been part of a larger chunk. It was also shaped like a crayon, and a flat orange ochre fragment with what appears to be deliberately made grooves and signs of being smothered or polished. So they had multiple different color of crayons as well. Red, orange. That's a nice vibrant look right there. I mean, it wasn't until later, I believe, in history that you got the purples and the blues, like the Egyptian blue, and then like a royal purple in Rome that was very popular for purple, as well as, whites and stuff like that. So using colors and stuff was usually, and especially art, you don't really attribute a crayon to that. But, there's a lot of cave paintings and stuff that are out there, and there's a lot of different methods and stuff of transcribing. And even if you use this on stone or cloth, something like that, have an awesome fucking Neanderthal crayon. That's all. That was a nice little thought that I saw there. But might as well hop over to what could be in the future.
Picture Perfect Small Towns. Get it on Amazon today.
Mushrooms could beat metal for large-scale memory storage and processing. So essentially, the capacity of small amounts of mycelium form shiitake mushrooms to hold memory and input voltages and can change resistance as a result, has been demonstrated. Holy shiitake mushrooms, Batman. I mean, wow. That is pretty fucking cool. Popular mushroom species can be trained and to remember past electrical states, allowing it to act as both a memory device and data processor, known as an organic ugh, memristor. Yeah, memristor. Oh my God. Organic memristor. That sounds so dirty. Organic memristor? Sounds like a Marvel villain. Look out! It's the organic memristor! Ah! With his mushroom rays. But scaling performance may be challenge but theoretically, the discovery opens the way to computers that consume fewer resources and might eventually be cheaper and certainly easier to dispose of. Author C. Clarke famously said, any sufficient advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. On that basis, one day there could be a different kind of magic mushroom. Oh, I see what you did there. You son of a bitch. Not one that contains psilocybin, but one that can beat the most powerful supercomputers. That's a pretty big claim, but I mean, Jesus, mushrooms do a whole bunch of weird shit as it is. So, like, oh, don't eat that one. That'll kill you. Oh, that one's slightly with a redder tint. Oh, eat all as much of those as you want. Okay. The enormous rise of data centers to power AI is set to account for a significant part of the growth in electricity demand. Consequently, it is the difference between the roughly plateauing of fossil fuel burning over the last 2 years and rapid reductions. While some people argue about whether we need these products, others are working on less energy hungry ways to process information, including something quite out of the box. There have been claims, albeit somewhat controversial, of mushrooms having a sort of language based on sending electrical signals amongst them, with repetition of certain signals compared to words. Being able to develop microchips that mimic actual neural activity means you don't need a lot of power for standby or when the machine isn't being used. Dr. LaRoque of Ohio State said in a statement that something that can be a huge potential computational and economic advantage. One of the key strengths of memstrators is their capacity for efficient and adaptive in-suit learning, which is crucial for applications in robotics and autonomous vehicles. In memristors based neural networks, the device can adjust the resistance based on previous inputs, allowing for a form of analog learning that closely resembles the synaptic behavior in biological systems. The co-authors grew shiitake mushrooms dehydrated in the mycelium and connected samples to electrical circuits, which were used to apply a range of voltages and frequencies by both square and sinusoidal waves. Samples resistance change depending on the inputs, providing a memory. We would connect electrical wires and probes at different points on the mushrooms because distinct parts of it have different electrical properties. Depending on the voltage and connectivity, we were seeing different performances. The team's mushroom storage devices were found to be able to switch electrical stages almost 6,000 times a second. The accuracy was around 90%, remarkable for such an unusual system, but showing there is still work to be done to make a practical storage device. Higher frequency signals led to reduced performance, but this could be compensated for by adding more mushrooms. Mycelium as a computing substrate has been explored before in less intuitive step-ups, but our work tries to push one of these memristors systems to its limits. That's kind of interesting. of just having a storage or data processor as a whole fleet of mushrooms, right? So instead of storage data centers, you just have mushroom houses as far as the eye could see. Like, that's a shit future. You see what I did there? Because fertilizer in the mud. You'll get it later. But no, man, mushrooms as data storage devices. I mean, it's definitely outside the box. Having like a live, living, processor to help you with the data storage. I don't think we'll get there, but it was definitely a outside the box idea that I saw. Definitely kind of sci-fi. Like this one that I saw. Scientists create touchable hologram that feels real. The system projects 2,880 images per second, forming an illusion of a 3D object that responds to human touch. Using ultrasonic waves, it stimulates sensors like pressure, texture, and movement without any physical gloves or devices, which is awesome. This technology seamlessly merges sight and touch, opening new frontiers for virtual reality, medical training, and digital communication. The future of interaction is there, where holograms aren't just seen, but truly experienced. So that's really wild. Researchers at a public university of Navarre, UPNA, have unveiled a stunning breakthrough, a touchable hologram you can actually feel. That's so cool, getting to a Cortana level from Halo or even, anything like that. Because they're talking about, virtual reality, medical training. Imagine if you're just trying to, teach somebody about where an appendix is, but you can have a hologram there and say, no, you slice open here, and then you move that to the side, clamp, clamp, and then you go right here, clip, clip. So that up there, see? All right, now you do it. And you have this whole little medical hologram right in front of you. Imagine just the expertise you'd be able to have actually having a digital, you know, anatomy in front of you for medical training, digital communications, being able to see somebody's face, just like in the video games and in sci-fi movies and stuff. That's where, the new technology is bred in the minds of these creators that don't know how to make the science work. You wait for the smarter people to make the science work. Now we have touchable holograms, people. This was all like, dreams and nonsense. Go off and play with your nonsense over there when I was a kid. Nobody would have actually thought we'd get touchable holograms. Imagine advertising. That's what I'm saying. You want to think it's going to be, a huge step forward for digital communication, medical training, virtual reality. Let's be honest. It's just going to be an excuse for pervy people to touch tits. That's what it's going to be used for. We'd be watching Betamax if it wasn't for the porn industry, pumping VHS. So certain industries will always help a technology. You're telling me holographic technology is not going to be abused like that? Come on, bud. Come on now. Yeah, let's not live in a ridiculous world. We'll just view it from here. Digital communication, once again, it doesn't take a dirty mind to know what the actual human being is going to do with a touchable hologram. Why do you need to touch it? Just having a cool little hologram's not enough. You got to physically hold on to this thing. What are you doing in that hologram room? Ugh, just reminded me, no, don't visit the holodeck in the future until maybe like after they clean it. It's like visiting a restaurant. You want to go until not the first couple days that Gordon Ramsay's there. You want to go in the end after he's already cleaned up the place and made it look nice. That's when you want to go. Not before they clean the holodeck, especially with these nasty people. So on that sticky note, and of course, because I am the ever nerd that is, I will always bring up awesome stuff I see in pop culture. Marvel confirms Avengers will hit a historic 800th issue in December. After 62 years of epic stories, Marvel just revealed. Here, get my whole text line up here. Marvel just revealed that Avengers number 34, arriving this December, will officially mark the franchise's 800th issue when counting all volumes since the team's 1963 debut. Written by Jed McKay with art by Frade Kamari, the milestone will release will tie up years of ongoing storylines while celebrating the legacy of Earth's mightiest heroes in one massive anniversary chapter. The issue isn't just another comic; it's a full the issue isn't just another comic, it's a full cycle moment for Marvel fans who've followed the Avengers since Stan Lee and Jack Kirby first united them more than 6 decades ago. Milestone also comes at a time when long running series are rare, making this achievement even more special. With the 800th issue just around the corner, Marvel is reminding readers that the Avengers remain the heart of its universe. It's a celebration of how far these heroes have come and a promise that their story is far from over and with the next great era already on the horizon. So, you know, 62 years of Avengers comics, and they got Doomsday fastly approaching, and then Secret Wars after that. I like to think that we're going to be very surprised and about Doomsday. I said last podcast maybe I was a little bit hard on DC, but I didn't mind Superman. I liked Peacemaker. I like Creature Commandos, Penguin, all the stuff that's come out of James Gunn's DC. I have loved. As far as Marvel, really hasn't had anything that really hit me since Endgame. And that's really what they're chasing after their own tail there. But with Endgame, that was a 10-year buildup. Now we have this new phase going into Secret Wars, which is what everybody wanted. They wanted the Russos back. They wanted Secret Wars, Doomsday, Secret Wars. You're getting it. Then we're getting X-Men and all that. Forcing their hand. Spider-Man Brand New Day. Getting Spidey and the Hulk together. That is not a bad team up. Adding Punisher and all these other different people, all these other villains that they want to do. If you have the right people behind that project, I don't think it's going to be that's going to be another easy layup, because Tom Holland and Spider-Man, I think they've all done well. And I haven't had a problem with, Tom Holland Spider-Man. I think he did a really good job and, really nailing this next movie. It'll put a good spin on whatever they're doing. The introduction of certain characters, people think, wow, they just completely forgot about this person. This is kind of where you see these the characters that you want to see. This is where you'll get their introduction in Secret Wars. You'll get the people that you want, the fanfare. But I think we'll get also a really good story out of the Russo brothers, just like we did with, Infinity War and Endgame. But Marvel, you look at even Infinity Gauntlet, the comic line that we got from the bait that was the inspiration for the movies that everybody loves. There's all that comes from 62 years of storytelling. When it even started from Jack and Stan in the beginning, when the first Avengers first united. These are characters that people have put blood, sweat, and tears into. So it's very finicky for some people because they're very diehard fans out there. But overall, I think everybody's really happy with the Marvel stuff, as much as they can. And obviously, you can pick apart the different choices and stuff they make in there, but they've overall had a better outcome than DC. So they have less of a steep hill to incline on their future projects than, say, DC. But I saw rumors out there that if Paramount does buy out Warner Brothers, that they're going to keep James Gunn and Peter Safran at the head. So I don't really think anybody wants to change those guys out because James has proven time and time again, even with the Marvel franchise, that he can handle a franchise, and especially one that's so beloved as, comic books, coming out there with like he did with Superman, with enough comic stuff in there to keep the nerds happy, people who don't necessarily know anything particular about Superman besides the movies with Christopher Reeves and that. They have something. He gave something for everybody in that movie, and it wasn't overall a people pleaser. I have my critiques about it, but overall, it was a good film. So I think that the heart of the DC really, for me, determines: do I get a goddamn Green Lantern show? You better goddamn just release it. I don't care what happens to Warner Brothers. Just release the lanterns. Fucking release the show. I saw that they were wrapped up filming, so good for them. But that's what I really liked about that one. But me, myself, and I always like to end off with a happy story or a weirdly unfortunate, just strange story. And I will not disappoint you. I got to tell you, it's the fall season now. We're getting fall into winter. We're really getting that weather out there. Just had the Halloween holiday just go by, which was kind of cool. Candy gone, whether it was by one kid, 5 kids, or 50 kids. The kids got the candy over here from the Berjanger house. So always doing that. Love to give other people's children sugar. It's the purpose of the holiday, really, to spread the love. Sharing is caring. Just like the sharing of this story, man, because Utah resident Alan Giebert gave his faithful 91 Geo Metro a spectacular send-off after 34 years of service by crushing it with a 1,917-pound pumpkin he grew himself. Giebert bought the Geo Metro for $7,000 back in 91, hoping it would last until retirement. And the little car delivered 34 years of service with no car payments while averaging about 30 to 50 miles per gallon. They were very, very economical cars. I mean, Jesus Christ, 30 to 50 miles a gallon back in 91. That's how efficient those little cars were. I mean, they were always really good on gas. That was why you bought a Geo. Man, this is great on gas. So, Giebert made a promise. If he ever grew a pumpkin that weighed more than his Geo, he would drop it on the ground on the car. And the moment finally arrived on October 25th of 2025. Before the big drop at Hee Haw Farms in Pleasant Grove, Giebert entered his pumpkin into the Utah Giant Pumpkin Festival, way off, where it took first place at the 1,917 pounds. The engine was donated to a local mechanic, and the rest of the car was positioned in the middle of the field as spectators gathered to watch the near 1-ton pumpkin get lifted by a crane nearly 14 stories high before releasing. The giant pumpkin made a perfect hit on the center of the car, completely obliterating the tiny hatchback in spectacular fashion. Giebert shared that he and his wife had talked about this being the best way for it to go for a long time, adding, "It happened, so it's been kind of fun. Now that's what we call going out with a smash." See what they did there? Best way for it to go. I think that is the best way for a Geo Metro to go. If I had to gamble, if I had to bet, I'd say that's probably the best way I've seen any Geo Metro go out. Donate the engine. I got my 2,000-pound pumpkin. I'm just going to drop it on my Geo. Yeah, let's get the town out here. We'll sell tickets. Yeah, pop up some vendor tables. We got some funnel cakes over there in the back. All right. Pumpkin's 14 stories high. Everybody's going to see the giant pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Don't you worry about that. I mean, for $7,000 for a car, too, that's a really great deal. $7,000, 30 to 50 miles an hour. I mean, they had rust issues. Sure. A lot of cars did in the 90s. Rust proofing wasn't really, the best. back then, obviously, but the rust had something to do with why it was so easy for the pumpkin to absolutely demolish it outside of it being a Geo Metro. But it was that was probably the best lighthearted story I could have found. Not really lug nuts newsworthy, but it is fun and lighthearted. So I like to pop those out for you every time. We are going to be at the Natural Health Natural Holistic Expo, November 15th and 16th over at the Plymouth Meeting Mall. We'll have a lot of healthy stuff for you, like a gluten-free caramel based out of dates. We will have zucchini bread, bran muffins, a whole bunch of different kind of healthier Pajanger treats out there for you to snag onto, as well as we will have art by Janaea out there again. My niece showing her amazing artwork. We're going to be out there both days, and it's a massive event. We're on their website, gang, which is, touch my heart. That is so great. I love that. Especially, getting the love back when we're going out there. We're going to be doing photography and videography for them. So come out there and say hi. We want everybody to check out all the stuff that they have there, not just our table, as well as all the ones that they have out there. They're going to have a lot of really great stuff. So we want everybody to come on down and enjoy the time with your family. A healthy way to spend your weekend. If you got something to do one day, pop the other day, pop it into your weekend, however you fit. We'd love to see you down there. So that's the big event coming up for us. Outside of that, we got more lug nuts, Delco or Bust. The special is going to be coming up for you. I told you guys in 2026 is definitely when we're going to be dropping that. Production is ending on that one very soon. Just got to do a few finishing final touches to make sure it's nice and perfect for you, and we'll get that out there for you. Outside of that, we'll get more Tales of the Hunted, silly little podcast, and sex ed and everything in between out on the network as well. And, of course, I end off my podcast the same damn way every time. That's that. I love you. I miss you. And I can't wait to see you then. Until then, drive on and game on, boys and girls. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I wanted to start off this video with kind of a dour note, but a little bit of, news that did happen unexpectedly recently. Was last Wednesday, Pierre Robert, legendary DJ, WMMR, a radio station in Philadelphia, passed away at the age of 70. Pierre was a friend of everyone in the Philadelphia area. He was a legendary, just radio, pure rock DJ. All the bands loved him, respected him. A lot of different people, doing a big and very nice tribute on MMR for him right now. I saw that he's getting nominated. There is a nomination for him to add him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is absolutely needed and necessary. Even in my travels, I have met Pierre on occasion, multiple times. He was always a really nice guy. Remembered me when I saw him at previous stuff. He was always there for, people, and he was a really nice guy. So I wanted to, obviously send out a little rest in peace to Pierre Robert. It's a very, very tragic loss that we lost him, but, he was a legendary radio disc jockey for MMR for over 40 years. Influencing everybody in the Delaware Valley, from Blues Traveler to, Springsteen to Bon Jovi to all the latest rock gods, and even rock up and come ups like, the Struts and, Cage the Elephant and all these awesome bands that are on their way up. Have a lot of really amazing interactions with them. So obviously I've had some interactions with Pierre. I remember I met him when I was in 8th grade. And I was really young when my brother and I started doing the Chuck and Charlie stuff with Raz on MMR. And I remember going in there one time and meeting Pierre. And I remember my mind was blown because this man was the same height as I was in 8th grade. And I haven't grown much. Lincoln Hero at time, popping up in the background, First Lady, my fiance, Jillian, with our dogs, Link and Romeo. You'll see pop up back there in the background. But yeah, man, we all love Pierre around here, so I wanted to give a nice little tribute. And we mentioned on Lug Nuts, we love Pierre around here, and it is definitely gonna be a loss that Philadelphia is gonna feel for a while. But doing a message in true Pierre standard time, never on time, just always ever so slightly behind. It's one thing that I've always used in my life. As soon as I heard that from Pierre, I adopted it for myself in my normal lexicon. I would always tell people, I'm running ever so slightly behind. And, the legendary voice. Everyone loves that, deep, deep bass of Pierre's voice. So, you get those minor influences in the, normal podcasters and stuff. They were all inspired by him. So, no different, no different. No different than you hitting that subscribe button, like and comment below. Best video for you is over there. And of course, right where the first lady's coming down, that's going to be every single Mattcast in a playlist. And of course, until I see you next time, game on.
Drive on Lug Nut.
That too. Bye bye.